Okay, guys, welcome back to Let's Get Freaky podcast. I am super excited. I know I say that every single week, but I am so excited today. Very recently, we had Chris DiCesare on the show, and it was absolutely fantastic. If you've not seen the Netflix docuseries True Haunting, I don't know where you've been because it is possibly one of the best, especially if you're into the paranormal, one of the best shows out there right now. And I have got three of the main, I'll say characters, but this is a true story. This really happened. We're going back to 1984 in upstate New York. Guys, welcome to Let's Get Freaky. Thank you.
All right.
Welcome back, Chris. Thank you so much for doing this, man.
Absolutely. You're a great guy. I love your show.
Oh, thank you very
Brought some
much.
friends this time.
You brought some friends along, and you said, well, once we finished last time, you was like, should I bring the other guys on? I was like, oh, please, that would be amazing. Because I've just told you guys before, I've watched the show True Haunting now 4 times, all the way through. And it's very scary, it's a very freaky show. But it's fascinating, man. What you guys went through is absolutely terrifying, obviously, but so interesting, you know. I'd kind of like to go to the start for actually first, let me introduce Linda and Jeff to the show before we get into that. Linda and Jeff, welcome to Let's Get Freaky podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tommy. Appreciate it. Pleasure to be here.
It's an honor to have you. Really, it's quite surreal. I just said to Linda before we started, I've been watching you all day today. You know, I watched the whole show all the way through today, and now you're here in front of me. It is very surreal. I'm a little bit starstruck. Could you guys, the show is obviously it was number one in the UK on Netflix, the biggest
Wow.
platform out there. I'm sure it was number one in the US as well, I believe. I think it was up
We
there.
got number two. That
Oh,
skin wearing guy beat us by a little bit, but
ah, the
we're still very proud of that.
yeah, the sorry mother guy. Sorry mother.
Yes, that's the one.
But your show, I mean, amazing. How does that feel knowing that so many people have seen your story now? Like millions of people have seen your story. I mean, that must be wild.
Well, I'll start by saying hello, Tommy.
Hello, sir.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's it's surreal. It's really hard to put into a cohesive statement to suggest from us being in that little college, little dorm room, just running around trying to understand what's happening around us, to being seen by over 8 million people now across the globe. It's just, I mean, Jeff had always said, this wants to be shared. It wants to be told. This means more than we understand. And that's true. And so it goes to 15 people, then 30 people, then 1,000 people. And then, but I don't think any of us that you're speaking to now could have understood the impact it would have where now a person in Paraguay, a person in the Philippines and Poland, alliteration of the P's, you see that, can go on to Netflix and learn about what happened to these people in this upstate college in New York.
Yeah, man. And it's obviously still going to go up and up and up. It's there forever now. Um,
Right.
a big reason why I guess you documented so much and you've got so much of the evidence and stuff that you have is because of you, Jeff. You played a big part in like documenting and keeping the records of what was going on.
Yeah, that's just what I do. um, I mean, really, it's as simple as that. It's I had an interest in this subject matter. I mean, before this, it's interesting. I was going through some family photos recently and discovered one I hadn't seen for a while. It was a Christmas when I was 3 years old, and I'm standing in front of my mom, and she's sitting on a couch, and on her lap is a box that you can clearly read. It's in yellow and bright red. It says Kreskin's ESP. And this is a box set put out by Milton Bradley in 1967, 66. So as a 3 year old, I'm getting this for Christmas, and inside is like these pendulums and there's these divination cards and they got those cards with
The tarot
uh,
cards.
it's not tarot, it's the ESP testing cards and there's a
Oh,
name
okay.
for it.
Zener cards, the
It's
Zener ones.
Zener cards, yeah. So I had an introduction at 3 years old to Xena cards, and I have to think that that had something to do with uh, what happened later on. So
Wow. Yeah, you was thrown right in there. 3 years
yeah,
old.
yeah,
So did
it's
you?
fascinating. But the thing is, it's one thing to read about the stuff, and I have said before that I had an armchair traveler's interest in the subjects. I would read about this anecdotally, collections of ghost stories, things, people had certain ideas about things like Hans Holzer and people like him. Um, but man, when it hits next door, like it did in Erie Hall, all bets are off. It
Yeah,
was crazy.
yeah, man. So
Yeah.
did you have any experiences growing up with the paranormal that were like that stand out?
I think my family did have some predisposition to it, but it was not embraced. If I think, even myself personally, there are some incidents that I question. For example, I remember one time I went outside, again, maybe 5 years old, 6 years old. I remember this distinctly. I went outside with a flashlight at night, pitch dark, no moon, side of the house, and I wasn't afraid at all. And so I'm holding my flashlight up to the sky, signaling to the aliens up there because I had heard that my little light beam here is going to travel 196,000 miles a second into past the Andromeda galaxy and whatnot. Who knows how far, but I thought that was a cool idea, even at 5 years old. And then I turn around. I'm about to go into my house. I have my hand on the door, and this thing comes around the side of the house about 10 feet away, 15 feet away from me. It's this, it's this like snarling face with these red glowing eyes and these fangs. I shine my flashlight at it, and this thing is like glinting at me, all madness. Okay. I was never the same again after that. I was scared of the dark after that.
Wow,
With good reason, I imagine you can understand. But
absolutely.
I don't know what that was, but it's just curious it happened at that moment. So I pretty much shut down my paranormal uh, outreach at that time,
Exploration.
exploration. I didn't go out and push the boundaries per se, but I sure was still interested.
Wow. I mean, I know you don't know what that was, but what do you think that was?
Well,
Possibly.
conventionally, I mean, it could have been a neighbor's dog for all I know, but I don't know. I mean, it's just the timing and it was frightening for a kid. The red eyes, I don't know. I guess that's curious to me. I really don't know what that was. Um,
Wow. I didn't think we was going to go down this route tonight with
yeah,
with that kind of experience. I mean, on Let's Get Freaky, I talk to people that see Bigfoot, Dogman, things like that. I mean, that sounds like in that category. What
yeah,
you saw there, man.
yeah.
Wow. Was it like standing up? Was it on two legs?
I got in the house as soon as I could. All I saw was the face in the flashlight beam, and I was like, ah, it's like in the
Wow.
house crying to my dad. They didn't know. They didn't know what was going on, and so they
Yeah.
went out. They tried to figure it out. They didn't see anything when they went out there, but
Wow,
anyway.
man.
Anyway,
Have
I
you seen
also whatever.
have you
I
seen anything like similar to that? Like in I don't know, in a film or anything? Is there anything that kind of takes you back to that? Is there anything that stands out?
Are you talking to me? Or are you talking to
Oh,
Jeff?
Jeff, sorry.
Sorry.
uh, have I seen anything in a
Is there
film?
any, like have you seen something that looks like that? Or was that like a one-off thing that you saw there?
It was like a one-off thing. I mean, I guess American Werewolf in London is probably the closest to it.
Wow.
Yeah,
Man, Jeff, you saw the dog man. That's incredible. I
it's
did not
possible.
expect that tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, a lot of
Mhm.
people see these things, man. They're seen all over the US and all over the world, here in the
Yeah.
UK. Wow. Okay. Man. Yes, that is thrown into the deep end massively. Linda, how about you when you was growing up? Were there
I don't
experiences?
remember having anything, but my mom was very open to that. She would find or hear things, and especially towards right before she passed. Um, my dad would say, "Okay, let's go up to bed." No, there's people dancing. They're having a party up there. That's we can't go upstairs. Um, she would not think it was our house, but it was. But she would also think that her grandmother was talking to her. several times. So my mom was very open to that, but for me, I don't think I experienced anything like this. So
Interesting. Okay, so it's in the family.
it's in the family.
Yeah, but I think it's in most of us, most people that I talk to, and you guys, you probably meet a lot of skeptical people, as I do. Um, but most people have had some sort of experience. It's very rare to meet someone that's never experienced anything
Hmm.
strange that they can't really explain. It's only like obviously you guys were really thrown into the deep end with the paranormal when you was at college, and
Definitely.
you know, there's no denying it then. I had an experience when I was very young, when I was about 10 years old. I saw like an entity in my room, like a full-bodied apparition. And you have an experience like that, and you know it's real, you know it's happening. It
Right.
changes everything. There's no going back, There's no doubt in your mind that there's more going on in this world
Right.
that we just can't see sometimes, but we get a little glimpse every now and again. Yeah, man. Chris, I know you've had experiences, not too many when you was younger, but you had something. We got into that last time you was on the podcast.
Yeah.
So you're all pretty much open to the paranormal before you went to Erie Hall.
I
Yeah.
I was open to it, but unaware
Right.
as to the extent of what could happen within that concept. I mean, it's one thing you might see something in the window, or you might hear a tale and get goosebumps. You may have an insight or some kind of intuition, but it's very different than having this thing in your room and calling your name and things flying around the room and just the hysteria. So I wasn't aware going into the college setting, I don't think any of us were,
No.
what an impact you could actually have and how much it could really affect your life in a way that it took you away from your safety zone and you question I did my sanity like, well, what is going on and what does this mean and the fact that Jeff and Linda are here tonight with me 40 years later just underscores the importance of friendship and kindness and what helped me endure those times, and I'm sure we all feel a bit of that friendship.
Hmm. Well, that really shone through throughout the episodes, is how much you guys like loved each other and supported each other. Was that like accurate? Like the love that you guys had was just it was all there for each other, and that really shone through.
Yeah, I think we were in the moment. We were still friends, and that's just us being us. I don't know, it just wasn't. We weren't the mean girls, It just kind of
You just
we were
call
there for
people just
everybody.
nice people. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Because at the end of the series, when it finishes, it says that you kind of got you all like kind of disbanded. You didn't really say bye to each other. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. I went with my friend to another dorm after because pretty much once this ended in April, we kind of did finals, which is the first part of May, and then everybody went home. My friend and I went to another dorm. Jeff and Chris went to another dorm, and we never crossed paths again. Um, because both Chris and Jeff were not we weren't in any school classes together. It was just all social, and living in the same dorm.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
they
So
also graduated in 3 years, and I took an extra year and graduated in five.
okay,
So because
okay.
I changed my major after
She paced
junior year.
herself. She's pacing
Huh?
herself.
I'm pacing myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I went from C's to A's, so there you go. I changed my major.
So after that experience that you all had together, how quickly did things ever go back to normal for any of you guys? I mean, you experience something like that, and it's never going to be completely the same. But how quickly did it sort of? 'Cause Linda, you mentioned before we started recording that you kind of shut all this off.
Yes. So once the ghost came into my room, that pretty much was almost the end of our time together, really. I was just like, this has gone way too far. I kind of like, I want to say I stepped back from Chris and Jeff at that point. Um, And I literally forgot about this for 30 years. I really, which is totally weird to think now, but um I asked my dad when this came out, did I ever say anything? He goes, no. I'm like, and my husband, I never talked about it. I used to work at Girl Scout camp during the summer, so none of my Girl Scout friends knew anything about this. So when this came on, I just put everybody on Facebook, hey, this is the link, da 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 da, and I said, and I talked about July 4th, and I literally, and they were all like, I can't believe you never told us. So the thing is that the the reason why was it started coming back was when Mara was doing, which is Jeff's wife, is started was directing the Please Talk to Me. And she wanted another perspective, another, what I said, I really don't remember anything at all. And well, come tell me about the 80s. What was the 80s like? What kind of music? What did you do? Da, 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 that kind of background. And so I'm like, all right. And literally I did not remember much. So, and then when we did the watching of the film, Chris and I were sitting next to each other, and I'm like, oh, and this happened, and then this happened. So it's almost like poking the bubble,
Hmm.
and things started coming back. Not fully, but that was a while ago too. So it's just like, and still I had to go through it again, because we did these interviews 2 years ago.
Hmm.
So it really, but literally, I forgot it for 30 years.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But you just that's like a safety mechanism. Like to,
it was a safety. My body's like, you can't, it was just too much. And I
When
just
that
shut it
valve
off.
broke, when that valve broke, I was sitting next
Yep.
to her. There was a darkened theater. Up on the screen was "Please Talk with Me." Go and Linda, after one or two scenes, said, "Wait," and then this happened. Then it happened. Then this happened. I remember everything. She started to cry. It was just this catharsis. Just she finally unlocked that box, and everything came spilling out. The emotions, the fear, the laughter, the hope, and I guess she felt at that point in time it's safe now with friends in this location to
Right.
open that box and visit those feelings again, which is a unforgettable to me, as unforgettable as when she would share about what happened to her July 4th. And if the folks watching this podcast do see True Haunting, there's also a scene too where Jeff, he's questioned by Mark Lewis, but you did show the photograph, didn't you? And you can see Jeff sad, a little remorse about that. I didn't. And this is not acting. This is us caring for each other. We
Mhm.
were teenagers. We're young people trying to understand. And all of us probably look back and say, we should have done this a little bit differently. But the bottom line was the most important thing about that is not what we didn't do right. What we did do right is that to remain kind and respectful and trustworthy and just care about each other. It's just so when I see the tears of my friends in that show, those are real tears.
hmm
And they're tears of a person who cares about the folks that they're talking about and dealing with. And same for me.
hmm and as a viewer, someone that obviously wasn't there, but I've watched it 4 times now. You can that comes through, and I think that's why it's so good, man. I think because you can feel you obviously Jeff and Linda, you share like some personal experiences as well that happened um,
Right.
before you went to college, and you could you could feel it. You could feel that emotion, man, and it was yeah very sad, obviously, but amazing for the viewer to
Right.
to see that.
Right.
Yeah. Was it wild seeing yourselves played like you're watching like it was like for me it's kind of like Stranger Things when I watch it, like a real life Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Obviously it was in the 80s, so it's that kind of vibe. Was it mad
Right.
seeing yourselves like being played out with actors and stuff like that?
They really got the actors really good. At the end of the interviews, they asked us to write down how tall we were. Like for me, what color hair did I have? What style did I wear in my hair, my clothes, what kind of clothes I wore, just so that did I have glasses? Because I had glasses. I didn't have contacts till I was a junior in college. Um, and so they could get the actors right. And boy, did they get the actors right. So it really,
Yeah. It's like when you showed like the pictures of actually you, and then you see the actors. It was like
yeah.
yeah, it was so cool, man. It was so cool. Yeah. So Jeff, when did you first hear that this was happening? Basically, when was the first?
I got a I was contacted by Chris actually about he was puzzled by some correspondence from this company in the UK, Raw Productions. Someone had reached out to him saying, we heard about your story across the pond here, and we wanted to know if you're interested in talking to us about it. And that was very little other information beyond that. But I'm like, well, okay. I mean, that came out of nowhere, and Chris wasn't sure it was actually a legit thing. And I'm like, all right, well, why don't you, play along, see what they want, and see where this goes. But 4 years later, it's on Netflix. So
Right.
the story's history, but it came out of nowhere, and it really does fall in line with my idea that the story does want to be told, because it's not something that we lobbied for. It's not something that we pushed uphill. We didn't try to market it or get it greenlit or anything. It came to us. It found us
Right.
again.
Was there any like guys involved that didn't want to be involved in the documentary?
Yeah,
I guess there was.
yeah, a few. Some people, because of their jobs, they can't, reveal who they are, where they are, things like that. It's job security. Other folks, because just personal choices, not wanting to share that or relive it again. And it would be nice, and it's never happened, but it'd be wonderful if one day Paul my first roommate, would step out of the shadows a little bit and share some of what he went through. Um,
Hmm.
I think that people should understand that, like ourselves, he was put into a spot that he didn't really be asked to put into. Everyone deals with these situations in the way they feel best at that time. He had a cool advantage living so close his parents to the college. He could actually afford to, just head on home on weekends to kind of divest himself of some of the trauma now and then. But I think inevitably in the end, it was just so much. He shared at one point in time that the ghost actually threatened him and said, "Leave Chris alone," and that was enough for him to say, I'm going to take a
Right.
trip down the road and not come back again," and that's fair.
Hmm.
I understand that 9 years after the fact, he spoke one time about the haunting, and he expressed happiness that we were okay, that we had survived these things, and but that he for himself said, "That's in the past. I'm going to leave it in the past," and that's fair.
Hmm.
Not everyone wants to go back and share these things. I think we're all kind of created in a different manner to make life so interesting. Some people want security, some want fame, some want monetary comfort. Some want notoriety. So different reasons for doing. And I think the three of us all felt at some point in time that this is worth sharing because it was very meaningful to us. Not so much because of the ghost itself, who it was, or because of the opportunity to, be seen in India. The idea here was, let's just share what happened and maybe someone's helped by it.
Hmm.
Right.
Absolutely. I think that's how we learn about what's going on in this crazy world is by people sharing experiences.
Sharing
Yeah,
experiences. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, even now with, really, that's all we've got. Even if someone had an amazing image of a ghost that you cannot deny, people still wouldn't believe that. That's never going to be like proof of anything. I think the real proof that we have in the world today, even though we have AI and amazing things like that, is what is like word of, you know, you telling your story. I think that's
Right.
important. The more people that talk about this kind of stuff, the more, it helps other people that, can't talk about this kind of thing.
Well, I work at a school, and the thing I sub middle school and high school, so from ages 11 all the way through. And some of the kids have asked me, did it really happen? And I'm like, yeah, true haunting. Um, but I said, they're like, did you see it? I said, Chris was able to use Jeff's camera and get a picture of it. I said, but I didn't actually see it. I said, but I felt it. It was on me. I could really actually feel the coldness. And they're like, wow, they had to ask me that question to actually have them like decipher, it was true, because now they're getting the real story from a person that actually happened to.
Hmm.
So even, so it's still, some kids are like, it was really good. Some kids were very scared, but some kids, they just weren't sure until they're asking me and stuff. So
Yeah.
I said, you know, when the cassette player, when we put it on, nobody was in that room. And it just, things were, going around in the room. I said, nobody was in there.
Yeah.
We had a guard dog. We had Jeff. He was watching the room.
Waiting
It,
patiently.
Jeff, you came across like as the one that was like fearless, like the least scared. I mean, I would have been out of there straight away. I would have
That's
been
fair. That's fair.
gone straight away. But you were the one that was like, let's get the pictures, let's go in the room, have you always been like that?
Uh, it's a surprise to me. It's one of the situations where until it happens, you're not sure how you're going to react. And
Yeah.
I surprised myself in that moment. From the beginning, actually, from the reaction Chris had when he first saw it, and came screaming in the room saying, "Jeff, I panicked. I can't believe I panicked. I just saw a ghost in my room." And my brain is flipping over at that. When he's saying
Right.
that, trying to just comprehend. No, wait. What are you in your room right now? Okay. And so, part of me is like, all right, let's do this. Let's go. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. And then the other part of me is like, hell no, I'm not going in there. It's like we have no idea what this is. And I don't know if I've described the story. I know, when I talk about it, I often describe my process at that moment, like that first moment when I first went into the room after the Chris's the first contact. Um, uh, I wanted to prove to Chris, I wanted like to help calm him down. So I was going to demonstrate that there was nothing there, or if there was, I could at least prove that there was something there. So either way, it's a win. But I grabbed my camera and I sneak around the corner with my camera, and I'm using my camera as a defensive shield. And it may not look like that to everybody else, but for me, I'm hiding behind my camera. I'm looking through the lens to give some distance between me and whatever it is that's in that room, what I'm about to see. And I start at the floor of the dorm room there, and then I pan up through the lens of my camera. And the thing is, I wanted to see if I was going to see a ghost for reals, I wanted to see it from the feet first, so I could get used to the idea. It's kind of like going in cold water. So yeah, it may have looked brave, and I guess it was because I went in there anyways, despite the fear. So
Absolutely, yeah, fearless. I would have been, as I say, I would have been gone the first night. Did you, Jeff? Did you see the entity?
I didn't see it as Chris did. No, I saw what it did. So I was
Right.
seeing apports. I was seeing the closet unlatching. When I said apports, there was like with coins and pencils would just like we would be on a couch in the middle of nowhere, and things would just fall right in front of us and clatter on the ground. And so, that's the kind of thing I experienced. And then with the zones of cold, that's what we called them. That's what Chris is actually looking for when we're looking for the ghosts as a hallmark sign of it. Um, that was distinct. And during some of these attempts to contact it through the zone of cold, uh, you could actually see like this energy, kind of like this heat mirage type of energy, and there were these green little crackling sparkles that you could see. So I mean, it's just things like that, and certainly I could see what it was doing to Linda.
Yeah.
We had at a couple of points we called some people in from our suite and across the hall to kind of help show them, because they were teasing Chris about being ghost voices. So Chris like, hey, you want to see this thing? So I mean, there was so much that happened during that period that the Netflix show barely touches the surface.
Right.
Hmm.
Let me
Right.
just establish that. This was like 70, 80 days of this, and it was every day. And it was night and day, which is to say, during the daytime, everything seemed perfectly normal. Everything seemed like you could handle a thing. At nighttime, as soon as the sun went down, it was a completely different story. It was so creepy,
Hmm. I
and
bet,
then that's
man.
when things happened. And mostly I was just hyper aware and hyper alert, trying to understand what it was, what the rules of engagement were, in an attempt to help Chris out. But I was also curious, and I thought, well, this is a rare opportunity, so let's make the most of it.
Hmm. It must have been wild for you guys because Chris was a sportsman. It wasn't. I spoke to Chris before. He wasn't particularly interested in the paranormal. You've never looked for this kind of stuff. It must have been weird for you to see like Chris. Like I know you was all experiencing it, but Chris was like the focus. That must have been weird for you guys to be seeing your friend that is not like into this kind of stuff, but he's the one that's getting the brunt of it. Was that wild? It
When
must
it
have
My
been.
was,
God, yes.
yeah,
Go
when it
ahead,
was
Linda.
happening, I was also the one that wanted to get him out of the room. Let's go have lunch. Let's go watch an intramural sport. Let's go so that he wasn't all the time, in that room or in the dorm. Um, so some of the pictures that you saw in the film were Jeff's. Some were from my photo album. Um, we would take a trip to, was it Fallbrook, guys?
Yes.
Fallbrook. A lot of the Chris with the outdoors and stuff like that. But I remember, I have a picture of Jeff and Chris. They found an old tractor and they're like, let's go, all right, and jumping on it and like, we're king of the world. It's just, it was time that I think that was my role is let's get happy, make sure that everybody's not like thinking dark thoughts and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
we went to Fallbrook several times, and I've got Chris and Jeff and I and Beth and Judy and
And
Ed.
Ed. Yeah.
So and then other ones, it's just us. So it's not like we didn't. It was just a place that was just kind of open, and we would just be able to let loose a little bit, kind of.
Hmm. It must
So,
have been so difficult. It must have been because obviously you're at college. It's an important time in your lives. You're there for a short time. You're there for a good time, but you're there for a short time to build your careers and stuff. And you had to deal with this something that a lot of people won't have to deal with. A lot of
right.
people do experience this kind of stuff, but to the level that you guys had it, it must have been so difficult.
Well, obviously, Chris had, academic problems just because he couldn't sleep, he
Hmm.
couldn't concentrate, you know. So, um, I don't even know, like I said, I was a math major. I did not do what I don't think I did well then. And then I switched over to education and I'm all good. So,
Hmm.
but it's just, I think that semester was not a good semester overall academically, and we now know the reason why. But it's just, we still had to keep moving forward
Hmm.
too.
Hmm.
And we had each other to like bounce off of each other.
Yeah. I know, Chris, you saw this entity daily, and you said numerous times a day. For anyone that hasn't seen the Netflix series, and I don't know where they've been if they haven't seen it. It's crazy. But can you describe what the entity looked like to people that
Sure.
haven't seen it?
Absolutely. Yeah. It primarily it appeared as a young man dressed in some type of blue and gold shirt, regalia type of thing, with some kind of strange leather-like pants. I remember speaking to Jeff about that because Jeff was very, very good and insistent about asking me what was going on, what I was seeing and hearing, and when these things happen and such. And so I couldn't really describe to him what it was that I was seeing in terms of what it was wearing. We struggled with a couple things. It was not a shirt, it was a polo shirt, it wasn't a stripe. So I was just doing, but I couldn't really explain to him exactly what the thing was wearing because I didn't quite understand what it I was seeing it was wearing. So particularly would be like that with a tilted head, kind of like this, looking at you. Normally with its thighs and down disappearing into whatever is standing inside of like a stereo or desk, things like that. On occasion, unfortunately, it would appear with all the wounds, the mouth bleeding from the sides, and the missing ear, and the bleeding fingers, and the cut up abdomen, and just I remember I used to call it Hell Week because there was a time when, after the blessing, when the thing was going around everywhere, it just would not stop. It seemed to have a very negative reaction to the blessing of C2D1. I remember saying to Jeff, "Oh my God, it's evil. Look, the thing is disgusting. It's showing me these horrific images. It's tormenting me. Why would it do that?" Not knowing, have the knowledge that perhaps what it was doing is showing me who he really was, what really happened. So I didn't.
Hmm.
The experience wasn't like a movie or TV show. It wasn't scripted. We didn't know what to expect. There's no preparation for your role or what happens the next day.
Right.
We had no foreknowledge, and it's interesting how many errors or mistakes that I made, how many things I misconstrued or got wrong. But that didn't just stop us from resolving it because ultimately speaking, I think it was kindness and honesty and openness and good intentions that ultimately saw us through, especially with that thing, it seemed to always call my name, and just wherever I went, where people went themselves, they heard him call my name, which bothered me. I wish we called someone else's name once in a while, but Paul heard it call my name, and Beth heard it call my name, and everyone's saying it's your ghost. That's my ghost inside of me. It's not my ghost. It's someone else's ghost. But I felt a sense of ownership of the situation because it did seem to focus on me a whole lot, and so after the attack had happened, after all the things, everything was going bad, I thought, okay, all I can do now, this is thanks to Craig, is just maybe get brave and talk to it. Just me and him alone, just mano a mano type of thing, face to face. And that was terrifying. And it seemed to have worked. I think, well, I just was being honest. Listen, you keep calling me, you want my help, I'm going to give it to you. It's some advice, you just can't stay here. Things are getting worse. It's if you want my help, I'll tell you. You got to go. You got to find rest. And but I do want to say, the True Haunting show does really put the viewer into the spot, and you really feel like you're there. You know the characters pretty well. You sense the terror and the abject horror of certain moments, like where they're the jump scares and things.
Hmm.
But there were some fun times in spite of that. When we had to make up our work at the end of the semester, and Jeff would be in the main lobby, I'd be running back and forth like tick, 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 behind the poles, make a quick distract him, making jokes, and we did fun things sometimes. We're still kids, we're still young, we'd
Right.
once in a while we still do fun things. So we all try to find some humor, some ray of light in the darkness, and we all tried our best to share that light in the darkness with each other. Like if you don't pay the exorcist, you get repossessed, kind of thing like that. We
Hmm.
just tried to find any piece of humor we could find,
Yeah.
but for the most part, those moments were quickly overshadowed, literally, by the events that were happening around us.
Hmm.
And I love these two human beings. I'm so proud. I'm so proud to know them now. You're right. I wanted them on here tonight because just having me on isn't enough. People need to understand that there are many of us involved in this, and you don't go it alone. And even though I'm putting the prow of the boat, that's not what it's about. It's about the team. That's about who has the sextant, and who does the wind direction, and who raised the masts, and it's all the team together, And I'm very thankful they're here.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. How when you disbanded after Erie Hall, how quickly did you guys come back together?
We didn't
You didn't.
until until Chris reached when Mara reached out to me. I had not talked to Chris. When was that? 2010, 2012? When was that?
2000. I'm trying to think. 2015 was third anniversary, but before that, she had
Oh,
spoken.
okay,
So
maybe it
maybe
was that.
2010 or 11. I don't remember the
Yeah,
date. It's been a while, but
yeah,
you're talking almost 25 years probably at least.
yeah.
Wow. Was that all of you?
No,
I
actually, Jeff and
yeah.
I were roommates the following year. We
Right.
went to a place called Wayne Hall, right? And Jeff was the night host. He had the responsibility
Woohoo.
to check people in at the door. And remember, he would sit there and the coolest music would play. He played Enola Gay by is that what
Oh,
is that? Enola
oh,
Gay.
OMD.
OMD,
yeah,
yes. And
Yeah.
Jeff
OMD.
yeah, Jeff was my cultural source. He was my historical source. My father raised me to like to learn, to enjoy, to bring knowledge. I left my home. I thought, what's out of that? And then fate had it that Jeff would be, in that building, and he taught me about pointillism, impressionism, about Bach, about Chopin, about Liszt. He taught me about every single thing, the punk rock, post-punk rock, the it's just amazing. He knew everything about everything. So it's just always a thrill to live with him. And so he brought all this knowledge and all this context at times. And I mostly jumped around and added some energy between those moments. And so it was a good time. And he was such a good person. He would find value in the achievements of other people. I was brought up to compete, to win in these races, to find some kind of advantage to take to win that race. Listening to their breathing patterns, how much they're sweating, is their stride getting shorter or longer. It was about the hunt, and he could actually find enjoyment and value in what other people did. He didn't have to get it for himself. He was very altruistic in the sense that he could find value in other people's thoughts and processes. What a welcome breath of fresh air he was for me and probably for many of us, and he didn't speak a lot. He wasn't outspoken. He was well spoken.
Yeah.
When he did speak, people listened to him because, oh, he's saying something. What did he say this time? And we weighed every word we laid on, every nuanced variable. It was just amazing, and it's fascinating. It's just fascinating. And Linda was right, and not that to say this, but she just was so, so, so kind. You can see her wheels turning as someone's in pain or in suffering. She's like, how can I help this person? It's amazing how lucky I am to have known both of them at that time.
Hmm. Yeah, because you can imagine the situation would have been a lot worse
Oh
had
yes.
you not had that strong friendship group. I mean, who knows? Uh,
Well,
dread to think.
if right, and if Jeff wasn't next door, who would be there to like think,
Yeah.
okay, I can see about this ghost because not everybody was open to, dealing with that too. So it really, I don't know, we just came together. And the thing is that even though it's now 40 years, Chris picked me up right before this came out, and he had one of his last talkings, and he picked me up because I'm on the exit on the throughway to go to Syracuse. We talked for 2.5 hours, okay, nonstop, just catching up. And then we talked the next morning for an hour for breakfast. And we're like, oh, we have 2.5 hours drive back. So we talked another, we just picked things up right where we left it, and that is what friendships are.
Hmm.
Even though we weren't together for all those years, we came together again.
Hmm.
And, what I found also is that um, Chris is a teacher. I'm a substitute teacher. Craig is an English teacher. Jeff, you do academic research, right?
Rare books cataloger at Penn State.
Okay, yeah. So we're all in the academic, and it just ended up. It's amazing because you guys didn't go to school for education, did you?
Yeah, that's interesting.
So it was really interesting that we all kind of ended up in
Yeah,
that same kind of thing.
yeah, that is interesting. Because I mean, when you're that age, especially when you leave college and stuff, like I've experienced it as well. You have loads of great friends that you think, oh, I'm going to see you every day, even when we
Yeah.
finish college, and you just don't. It never happens. I know you very rarely speak to people that go on with their school friends into. It
Mm-hmm.
does happen sometimes, but it is quite rare you don't. But you
Yes.
guys now, you're definitely going to be connected forevermore. Now you've got the Netflix series that's come out as well. I mean, this is
Right.
going to be going round and around forever now.
and with you.
And with me, yeah,
Yeah.
you
On
guys
your
are coming,
show. This is
kind of
what's
keep coming back on forever.
I'm
And
grateful for
some
you.
and when this came out, some of my camp friends are international. They would come over for the summers. So I have people in Ireland and Australia and Wales and different parts of England that hey, came out on Netflix. Take a look at it. So like,
Wow.
so
Have I know Chris, I know you've been back, but have you guys been back to the college that this happened in?
yeah, we had our meet and greet and we had our watch party.
Okay, oh,
Uh,
you all went back.
yes,
What was that like?
It was a
surreal.
different, it was a cool experience because we had the watch party at the Interfaith Center, the same building that Chris went to when he talked to the priest. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think Chris actually you shared a photo of you being in the room where
Yes.
you
Yeah.
had the last time you were in that room was 40 years ago, talking to the priest and like breaking down in tears because you were experiencing this extreme haunting, and you could see Erie Hall, you could see our dorm right
Yep.
across outside the window. That was a special thing being able to see it from that perspective. But man, 40 years later, wow,
Yeah,
wow.
that must have been
Yeah.
incredible.
A quick aside, I didn't know exactly how everything's laid out in that building. I had been told that it had been the Interfaith Center where I'd seen Father Charlie, where Paul and I had brought Jeff's notes to see him. And then we walked in the building and thought, oh my gosh, this seems so familiar. And I was speaking to the lady who runs that now, as a community center. I'm like, can I just go this way down the hall this way? Sure. And I'm gonna go this way over here, and then I'm make a if I'm not mistaken, Father Charlie was in that room there. She goes, yes, the one. I'm like, I said, I haven't been here in 40 years. Last time I was here, I was bringing the notes that Jeff wrote to see the priest. That's the last time I was in that. And I walked in and I was just overcome with emotion. I saw some of the
Yeah.
same things on the wall. And I remember sitting as he's reading the notes very quietly. He's reading the notes for a long time before he says, are you doing drugs? And I remember looking out the window, seeing Erie Hall, thinking, oh, that's where I came from. This is where I am now. And then to do that 40 years later, there's a sense of sadness because that can't be recaptured that moment. That pivotal moment is history, will remain history. But there's a sense of euphoria that I got to go home again in a sense and revisit
Right.
that place where my life changed. People can discuss the efficacy of the blessing or what roles and plays and hauntings and things like that. But for me, it was the first time an adult, someone in authority, took this seriously and said, I'm going to help. And for me, that was a huge moment, and I
Hmm.
remain very thankful for.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I asked you this last time, Chris, but in the 40 years since what happened took place, has anyone else reported anything similar?
Very limited. I asked that in 2012. Every time I go back, I ask that question, and I don't know, maybe heard something, but there's only one person who claimed to have experienced something, but she admitted she went there to provoke. She went there to make something happen, and she was inappropriate, and she was using foul language, trying to, do things that would stir things up, and I guess she got sick, her boyfriend got sick, things like that. But to my knowledge, what I did, seemed to have been effective
Hmm.
and granting that spirit at least temporary rest. I suppose when I pass on, then I'll know what happened for sure, but I hope so. I hope that the suffering of that young man has concluded or at least been lessened to some degree by our efforts. That'd be a nice thing to hope for.
Hmm.
And as much as I hated the thing at the time, I wanted just to strike back at it and hurt it back the way it hurt me and things. Sometimes as a human being, you see someone's pain and you lose that anger and you think, okay, this is a chance for me to help somebody. And just like Jeff and Linda did, my mom always told me, be a good person. My grandma said to me when the count of 10, 1 to count to 10, she
Hmm.
said, you're a good person, Chris. And I just wanted to be a good person. And that was my chance, that was my chance. And fingers crossed, it seemed to have been fairly
Yeah.
effective.
Yeah. It's kind of like that spirit, that entity needed that as well. It needed you to do that, maybe.
Well, the familiar connection was odd too, and I and to again, you're gonna hear me say this a lot of times. To his credit, Jeff in the early days of the haunting was trying to find a rationale or a causality behind what was going on, and we had so many theories. But one of the theories he proposed was that perhaps I picked up this thing on my long runs. We didn't know at the time that was a torture tree, or we didn't know the history of the family at all, nothing like that. But that was spot on. And in fact, Jeff had the opportunity to go with the Warrens on their cross-campus investigation.
Okay.
And instead of going with them, which has been fascinating, right? Because they're, the icons in the field, he stayed with me in the room, asked me what's going on, what do you think about this? So again, it shows you the trust in a friendship. And the
Hmm.
biggest criticism I get in terms of my actions and our actions is, okay, you get cut up in the shower. Where's the picture of the scratches on your back? Where's the scratch photo? And it doesn't exist because of me and because of Jeff's respect for our friendship. Jeff, can I put you on the spot? Maybe you want to run him through how that happened? Because you're ready. You said the natural light is fading. I'll never forget those words.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking for these. I wanted to document this, and I had one chance to get this right, and this was unexpected. The attack in the shower. It was fresh. It was raw, and it was unprecedented. Certainly within what we were experiencing, this was a level of escalation in the intensity of the event that was just beyond the scale and beyond the pale. And so, I mean, my instinct was like, okay, I need to record this. I don't know why, I don't know, but it might be useful to help us understand things later. But obviously, this was a traumatic experience for Chris. I had just pulled him out of the shower. I'd heard him with the commotion and whatnot. I went in and he was obviously he was injured. And once we kind of like made sure that he wasn't going to bleed out on us, I said, well, let me just get this picture so that we have it. And he's like, Jeff, put that camera down. Uh, if you're my friend, you will not take that picture. All right. So what is that? It's a choice, right? I'm his friend. I'm not taking the picture. I put the camera down.
Hmm.
So that that's why we don't have that photo. I wanted to take it. I had the camera, but it was I understood in that moment that it was more important that I help Chris than it was to get that picture. It wasn't about the proof, and for a long time it hadn't been about the proof.
Hmm.
It's like I had kept detailed notes of what happened from the outset, but at some point during this, it's like there was just so much one thing, but the other thing is it's like why? I mean, it was just about surviving it at that
Hmm.
point. It wasn't about trying to prove it or record it or anything
Yeah.
at that point.
You wasn't
But
thinking in 40. Oh, sorry, Linda.
but when it was in my room on me, Chris and Jeff came running, and Chris said to Jeff, because Jeff was going to take a picture, Chris is like, you have to ask. And I'm like, yes, just go ahead and just take. And that's where those pictures came from. Um, Along with other pictures, I will tell you that I had some in my mom's attic. Okay. Before Please Talk to Me came out, maybe 2 years before that, um, I was going through the attic and I looked through them quickly and I'm like, I'm never going to need this. It's been 30 years and it didn't do anything. I threw them in the garbage. I threw them away. So when Chris was writing his book, he's like, do you have any other things, any other pictures that would help with evidence? And I'm like, I did, but I don't anymore. So those pictures that Jeff took were the actual pictures of me in that room. And literally that when they did that interview, they like, are you going to be okay looking at these pictures? And I'm like, oh yeah, they'll be fine. And then literally I just was speechless. The fear just took over me.
Hmm.
But yet Jeff was there documenting throughout, and yet even though we don't have the scratches from Chris, we do have the fear factor of something
Hmm.
in my room.
Yeah.
So,
You guys weren't thinking, "Oh, in 40 years' time, I'm going to prove this because it's going to be on Netflix."
right,
You're
no,
not thinking that way.
no.
Um, yeah.
There's beauty in that moment, and that again another moment to show friendship. And people might think, oh, cares for the friendship? The ghost is the important thing. It's not. It's not. It's the people that can share about what they experience with the ghost, I think is an important thing.
Hmm.
Not because of being Chris and Linda and Jeff, as being people who can share an experience that might help somebody else down the road. In
Hmm.
that moment, Linda had been pressed down on her bed. You could see her body being pushed into the bed. It wasn't like she's pretending she wasn't asleep. Her body's being pushed half into the mattress, like someone was pushing her down. And she had her friend Judy, roommate, call for us to bring us there. So she trusted enough to be involved. I'm going to trust to tell them and see what they can do about this. And then I put my hands there, and Jeff wanted to get the photographs, right? And so then, because I was concerned about her feelings, I said, well, let's just make sure it's okay with her, because that's our trust to her. And then Jeff's probably thinking, oh my, here we go again. Here we go again. Is an opportunity. But he didn't take the picture until she said, okay. So even in those moments, it was important for us to keep protocols.
Hmm.
People first, people first. Sometimes people want those clicks on Facebook so much, or those TikTok hits so badly, they'll hurt their friends and family, they'll sell out their values to get that extra 10 minutes of fame.
Hmm.
I think one of the things that kept us so steady, that makes our experience more believable, is that we put people first. And I think that's not to pat ourselves on the back, but I guess I'll do it. Pat, pat,
Yeah,
pat.
do it, man.
We really did
Absolutely.
try to be good people and think of each other first, even when we knew logically, not emotionally, we're doing the right thing.
Hmm.
So when they got around me to go to the hospital, they were saying, "Go to the hospital, you're bleeding." I didn't want to go. I was being emotional, you know. But in those when those times happen, you have to connect the two parties. It has to be a bridge between the two perspectives, and we all of us worked very hard to do that. Another funny story when during the capturing of the ghost voice tape, Jeff had closed that door, locked that door, and put the chair the way around and sat there. He gave me the key and said, get back in 15, 20 minutes. And then I'm there, and Linda's there, and Beth are fooling around. We're joking, we're laughing, we're talking about life. I think probably half an hour, 40 minutes passed. We're like, oh, Jeff. I mean, we were never just like dun dun dun. We weren't investigating, we were surviving. So it's just we get back. He goes, how long has been? How long has been? And Beth started laughing. Like, sorry, he was upset because. But again, it just shows you that we weren't really only trying to document and preserve history. We were friends. And then Beth laughed, so Jeff laughed. Yeah, I got it. And then we went there, and then there was that scary cassette tape. We rewound it, and first was just the on the motor, and all of a sudden there were those voices. And again, it was like, this is really cool. This is really cool. There was a celebratory mode that, okay, we've got some kind of EVP. We got something that Dr. Lawrence Kastler had advised, mostly Jeff, how to conduct these experiments, which is really cool on his part. And when I heard that, I thought, this is horrible. And everybody looked at me, what's the matter? It's what you wanted. I'm like, yeah, but it wants my help and I can't help it. So again, we kept finding ourselves in places where doing the right thing and following people's directives, we get deeper and deeper into it. I just wanted to make it end. I
Hmm.
just think it's a very fascinating concept. And again, I'll
Absolutely.
say it another time. I love these people.
Yeah. I love you guys. I wasn't even there. I feel like I was. I mean that tape. As I said, I watched it again today, and that part when you say you is that the actual tape, by the way. That is the actual sound that you heard. Yeah,
Yes.
because you hear it and you hear like a mumbling kind of, and then you say the
Something.
words. Yeah, and then when you said what it says, and it's helped me along
Yep.
those lines,
Yep.
and then you hear it again on the show, and you're like,
Get the context.
you hear it,
Yes.
and I was like, oh, it gave me chills. Like you hear it, and it's.
You know your child's voice. You know your child's cry. If you're at some fairground and your child falls down, you know their cry 'cause it's a child. There's like when I heard that voice, because I'd heard that voice for a month and a half, I knew exactly what that was. There's no doubt in my mind who it was, who they're talking to. They were talking, it was the thing, it was T talking to me. And then I called it T, not Tommy, because if I said the name out loud, it would summon it. So Jeff and I said the state's just T. So we called the thing T for years and years. I was supposed to say T on there. Just and again, does that make a difference? I'm not sure, but we were trying to make sure we were safe. And Jeff was very much like a guardian of those days for me. Even though he was scared, I never knew it. He concealed that fear. Same for Linda. They concealed their fear probably for me. And again, you have to ask why they would do that. I think it's because we had a
Hmm.
nice friendship, and somehow we
Absolutely.
Mhm.
got put in this place against all odds, right?
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, you could see the love. Like I said that already, but that came through so clearly on the show. Like there was real love between all of you, you know? Who's the guy that I forgot the name of the guy that kind of got you going to take on T?
Oh, Craig?
Craig, yeah, even him at the
Yes.
end, you could see like that. Obviously, he had the love as well, man. Is he
He
still
is
in?
fascinating. He's so fat. Jeff will tell you, Jeff wasn't scared of him. Jeff kind of tried to put like guardrails around him just to so he didn't do like he has been a devil, get out and hurt too many things. He was just a free spirit. He grew up in a commune, free everything. And he had really no guardrails in terms of social activity interactions. He would say anything to anybody. I'm like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? I was a bit scared to be around him because I got as far as I got to get to college and be a national rank runner by being very consistent, by having these structures in place that made sure I wouldn't wobble off and fall over. Craig would just knock him right over, and you'd be in the water like, boom, 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 with his thoughts. He was just really, and ironically, it was he who really outside the box thinking got me to think outside the box instead of running from it, and trying to avoid it. Face
Push you
it like,
forward. Yeah.
well, I'm not gonna face that thing. But again, it's the eyes. Um, he didn't lie to people, and that was his strength. What made people uncomfortable was his brutal honesty.
Hmm.
So that's the bad thing is you can say, well, your hair looks terrible. Oh, gee, thanks. But on the same side, when he said, you got to face it, I trusted him. He
Hmm.
wasn't trying to have control over me or get attention, or he was just saying, this is what you need to do, frankly. I thought, there's no pretext there. And so, on his encouragement, his forceful encouragement, I was in the shower, he put it right, hey, you got to do? I'm like, whoa, whoa. And I did. And anyone who saw me walk across, and the actual reality was, I didn't speak to the ghost in the forest. I spoke to him inside C2D1. I broke the blessing. He said to me, go over there with no clothes on. So here I am walking across the dorm, like the hallway, with no clothes on in this haunted room, like, oh my God, what's this? This kid's he's being controlled. The poor kid's part of a cult. But in fact, for the first time, I was making a choice for myself. I was choosing to be brave. I was choosing to trust what Craig was saying. I was choosing to face this thing for the first time. And lesson learned there too. Sometimes in life, you can't run from something. You
Hmm.
have to face what you're dealing with. The longer you put it off, the worse it's gonna get. You
Hmm.
can drink, you can do drugs, you can hide in your attic, you can do what you want to do, you can hide away from, but that problem doesn't go away. It just gets worse over time by ignoring it. And
Hmm.
so, taking his advice, I went in there and I spoke to that thing. And I just this past June, I was diagnosed with cancer. I had to face that, and I went through the treatment and things, and I felt the same as I did with the haunting. During the haunting, I put myself in the room and hide in the room, people safe from being near me. I had the radiation in my head. People stay away from me. I'm in that room by myself again. I'm like, this is crazy. It's weird. And then just like in college, when I'm in the hospital in Manhattan, I'm getting hundreds of messages. We love you. We're praying for you. We're there for you. I thought, oh my God, I'm the luckiest person on the planet. Once again, this time in a grand scale, people are saying they love me. It's so bizarre. I'm just some dude. But I'll tell you, whatever positive forces out there, whether you call it cosmic consciousness, you call it God, whatever you call, there's something amazing out there that makes children smile. There's something amazing. Ice cream tastes good. There's something amazing out there that allows us to accentuate the positive songs and moments and hugs in a world full of darkness. And I'm very grateful for that.
Hmm. That's awesome, man. The entity in the show, we all saw it. You see it many times. Uh, is that exactly how you saw it?
It's not exactly how I saw it. They have to create an image they think is going to be effective.
Hmm.
It's similar to how I saw it. And then again, it's been 40 years. So I can't even tell you for sure if my memory is exactly on point. Sometimes you recall a memory and you reinforce the memory and it might be false memory. But I can tell you this, in the episode one at the very end where you see, remember
Yeah.
it's like 8, 9, 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's exactly how it did, just like that, minus the sound. It's just that's what it looked like in that moment. And when you saw in episode 3, not to give too much away, with the hand dripping blood, that's what I saw out the window of the dormitory in the middle of March, saying, "Oh my God, this thing is horrific." So yeah, and then they did a great job of when I first saw the thing when I screamed out of the room. I
The
think
sh-
I
the
make
sh-
my,
the
my
shower
speech, but
the
yes,
shower scene scared me.
yeah.
And that was definitely a I've got chills right now. Just
Hmm.
it definitely, and the way that James Wan perceived that, that is definitely, that was like the one big, to me, the grab and get you,
Hmm.
the jump
Yeah.
out of your seat kind of thing. So it really, because I found it suspenseful and it kept getting building and building, and that really is what, it just,
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Well, having been
yes.
there, I can tell you
Yes, you've been
the
there.
uh the most real aspect to the truest sense of that shower attack is the after effect of lying on the ground and there's just a mumbled sound. Your senses are just like they're paralyzed, just like
Oh, okay. Yeah,
you can't
yeah.
like it's like just you don't under your brain can't function. You see the water coming down, you can't hear it. You can't feel it. It's just you see it coming down. And you know something is wrong. Your eyes are working, your ears are working, everything, but you can't process what you're seeing or hearing. And then to have the thing next to you, to have the scratches was just so, so terrifying. In reality, the shower curtain didn't come around me. I struck out after being attacked and hit the shower curtain. But it felt as though they got the essence of exactly how that
Right.
felt.
Yeah.
And it just was an amazing, amazing moment. So when I watched it for the first time after the rough cut, the actual real thing, that 3:30 to 4 o'clock in the morning, I had like the covers over my head. I'm just like, oh, I get
Yeah.
so nervous. I looked around like, oh my gosh, they
Yeah.
got it. They really did. Having not been there,
Yeah.
hearing testimony from 40 years later, they really put the viewer in that moment of saying, this is really, really bad. And you see on his face, the actor's face, Wyatt Dorian, there's almost a half smile, like, because you're mad. You're like crazy. You don't understand. Is this funny? Is this sad? Am I dying? Is this some kind of epiphany? What? I don't understand. I'm like a child in the womb, but this is a very dangerous place to be right now. This is not my mother's womb. It's some other place that I'm in. Just some kind of rebirth moment. Like this is horrible. I don't know what to do, but I'm powerless to stop it. And what stopped it from occurring was Jeff, because I was ready. I didn't want to die ever. I wanted to live forever. My mom had given up everything to have me. I didn't want to have to bury me as a teenager, and what a horrible thing for mom to do. I remember keeping my face straight so she didn't see any fear in my face for the casket. But I remember I heard the wooden door slide open to the bathroom. A warm, dry air came washed over my body from my heels up. Then I heard he had actually sneakers on. I heard the wet rubber of the sneaker bottom on the wet floor when I had fallen. And I heard
Right.
someone talking. I didn't know what's like, just like you see there. And then all of a sudden it became more clear, like Chris, and he started to lift me up, and I'm struggling with this, and he put a towel around me. I felt warmer, and then I saw his face, and I knew in that moment he was saving me. But I knew also I had to go with him. I couldn't just lay on the floor dead weight. So I stood up with him and leaned into him so he could pull me. It was an amazing, sacred, personal, spiritual moment. That horrific time was in itself some kind of friendship bonding thing where you're just trying to breathe life in. It's like the most mythological. It's just amazing. And
Yeah.
he brought me into safety to his room. There was light in his room. The sun was coming in the window in the dark hallway. I could see the light. He's bringing me toward the light. It was amazing. And I remember I sat. They put me in the end of the bed, and my feet were still wet because I didn't dry off from the shower, still soaking wet, and I made little footprints on the ground. It's just like look at the footprints, like they're there temporarily. Am I here temporarily as well? The thoughts you think in that moment are so bizarre. It's so hard for me to really express more than that, but these are things that because we're all on high alert, as Steph would say, we're all actively watching. It's like pictures in my head. It's like a photograph. All these things that could tell you what was on the radio, what the weather was like, who was wearing what kind of clothes, what was being said, what was in the wall counter. I was taking snapshots to survive because any piece of that picture might be necessary for me to survive with.
Hmm.
And it was terrifying. It was grueling, and I lost a lot of weight. I lost a lot of, but you know what? Here we are. And we all now have families. We all have careers. We are, for the most part, knock on wood, healthy, right? And we're here to share with you and all your listeners and viewers.
Yeah. And we're very grateful you are. Do you think if Jeff and Linda had not been there, and the other people that you had supporting you, if do you think you would have stayed?
I
I know
don't
that
want to
might be
seem like
difficult.
it's scripted.
Hmm.
I don't think that things would end up the way they were without them. I don't know if I would have survived without them. The only caveat to that is I remember screaming to God saying, "You're supposed to be omnipotent. You're supposed to know everything. You got the wrong guy. I can't do this. I can't. You picked the wrong person. This is a horrible mistake. I'm going to fail." And yet, here I am. So I like to think that if they weren't there, that fate, that God, that something would have put somebody else in their spot to do this. But there's no guarantee of that. And because of them, I am here. It was a faith shattering thing because of that. And it was faith shattering because I saw the ghost. I don't have to believe in afterlife death. I have faith. I've seen it. So a lot of faith is lost in that. But I did have faith in friendship and in people. To this day, to my detriment sometimes, I always trust people probably more than I should. And a lot of times say, don't do that. You're being too nice. But just, it's how I'm wired in part because of how people treated me, and God forbid I'm taken away tomorrow. Not, no ideas here.
No,
You
no.
know, I've had an amazing run, and I'm very thankful for it.
Yeah. Oh man. A special group of people. Special group of people. Jeff and Linda, I've got to ask you. I spoke to Chris after this all happened. I asked if paranormal experiences carried on in any way for either of you guys. Chris kind of shared his experiences after last time he was on the podcast. Did you guys have any experiences in the 40 years since Erie Hall?
I think you asked that question already.
Have I asked that? Oh,
And
was it
you talked about before. This is
before?
after.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
Um, um, you know, it was a pet project of mine trying to make sense of what happened in Erie Hall during our second year. So
mhm.
we moved across campus to Wayne Hall, the furthest dorm you could get away for our final year together. Chris and I, we roomed together, and we spent a lot of that time just kind of being silly and making like comedy tapes and doing, going on hikes and stuff. Um, and trying to forget and never, never going back to Erie Hall. We tried to
Right.
avoid that zone. Sorry, Linda, but
No,
and
no,
we
no, it's fine.
ended up avoiding Linda in that process. However, I'm going to say that things weren't entirely quiet on that side of the world. And I kept a notebook of things over the years, especially between like 86 and I want to say 94. Uh, Probably 7 notebooks full of experiences that I had in jointly with other people, who I asked actually. It's like I've learned that everybody has a story, and that is one of the things I ask people regularly, and they uh, are kind enough to share their experiences with me. So I've been privileged for that, and I've respectfully recorded some of those in these notebooks, and it added up. But at one point, I came to the conclusion that I had failed Erie Hall. I came to the conclusion that I had failed my duty to record this in a way that I could make sense of it. And it was very discouraging. It wasn't until 25 years later that we actually started putting these pieces together and everything started making sense. And I was reconnected with Chris and Linda and whatnot. But suffice it to say that there was a point about 1997, where I had had enough, and I felt that I had a soul tie to this haunting that I couldn't bear anymore. And I burned most of those journal notes, anything that I had on hand, which I thought was part. I thought I had actually burned the photographs. I thought I had burned the negatives. I thought I had burned the my original journal notes. I really did. I believed that I had destroyed these things. And so when in 2011 or 2010, Chris, Mara, who did the movie production of Please Talk With Me, they came to me and said, well, we came across your notes and we wanted to do a production because we think there's a real story here. I'm like, what are you talking about, my notes? And it wasn't until Mara actually showed me a photocopy of my notes that I actually remembered them. So like Linda, I had put this away. Between 1997 and 2010, I had effectively forgotten at least the critical linchpin of the movie, of the show, which were my journal notes, which became
Wow.
the backbone of everything. So that's a really bizarre thing for me. So I had to come to terms with that. How can I can be so passionate about something? How can I record something diligently? How can I labor over something for years and then put it away from me and effectively forget about it so well that it takes being confronted with it again. Now, here's the thing.
Mm.
I'm confronted with these notes. This was a photocopy. I had shared my notes with people early on, and they had made photocopies. And apparently they had switched my negatives as well. So I actually got my photos back. I got my journal notes back from that time period. And so like this was to me was almost miraculous. It's
Yeah.
like this story wants to be told. I
Yeah.
tried to, even me tried to do something, tried to put it away, and it wouldn't let it. Just like the
Wow.
raw television phone call to Chris back in 4 years ago that came out of nowhere. In the UK, they were hearing about this story. It's
Yeah.
like,
Right.
how did that happen? So, yeah, I had experiences and I've documented experiences. I don't have them at hand, most of them. And the ones that I do have, I need to get permission to share.
Mhm.
But, it's been a strange journey. It really has, Tom.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, even that
Gosh.
is kind of paranormal. Like the fact that you thought they were gone and yeah, it's a wild story.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
I'm
So
kind of jealous. I'm jealous, Tommy. They both put things in a box for 10, 15, 20 years. I would look both ways to cross the street in case a car hit me because I had those nods in my head. If I lose it, no one ever knows. So I live with a daily anxiety of not dying until somehow this is shared. And I took Jeff's words to heart. This needs to be shared in some way. It was more than the two of us. And so I never allowed myself or was never permitted the ability to put things away. Just I lived it every day. In fact, my wife, she saw the show and doesn't really like the paranormal too much. And she saw it, she said, it's, I like it. It's kind of spooky. She goes, I'm a little sad for you. I'm like, why? She goes, you're still there. You're still there in your head. That's where you are. And I
Yeah.
love you and I'm proud of you, but it's too bad that's where you are. It's just, it's amazing how 90 days, 40 years ago, has defined my
Yeah.
entire life
yeah,
as an individual and my friendships, my career, my legacy. It's against my will, and just sometimes fate has an answer, and
yeah.
there's where they say some people choose their fate, some other things thrust upon them, and this is thrust upon me. Hopefully, I've been a good steward.
Mhm. So even though this was obviously a terrifying experience, you wouldn't change it, I'm guessing, or I don't know. It must be quite a
I'll
difficult
speak
question.
first, and let them speak after. I wish it never happened.
Hmm.
I wish it never happened. I wish I never heard the thing or saw the thing or knew of the thing. But that wasn't an option that was afforded me.
Hmm.
Wish I never had cancer, not an option afforded to me. Sometimes in life, these things just occur. If I could stop my fingers, make it not happen, I would make it not happen. Since I can't do that, I'm going to do the very best I can to share it in a way that's meaningful, hopefully helpful to others. I don't know if the rest, if you both feel the same way or not.
It's been extraordinary, the turn of the tale here, the way the story has unfolded. It is the the essence of the story. The idea, it's to me, like you said earlier, Chris, in the interview, the idea of the friendships. That actually is the core of the story. If you want to take a deep dive into the meaning of the haunting, I would actually uh, suggest strongly that any haunting, if you want to look into it, the lessons are going to be in the interpersonal. It's not going to be in whether there's life after death per se. It's not going to be in whether you have the technical evidence. It's going to be in the lives of the people it affected and how.
Hmm.
And I think that is critical. I think that is interesting. I think that is authentic. And I think that really is the legacy of this haunting. And that's been beautifully made clear through the iterations of the story as it's unfolded, whether we're talking about the Sci-Fi Channel rendition, where we're talking about Mara's two versions that she did. I met my wife because she did this movie. She's the one that found my journal notes. I didn't know her. She thought of me as a character in her movie that she was developing because she cared about these kids who were experiencing something extraordinary. It spoke to her, and she's
Wow.
my wife now.
Yeah.
I mean, I owe this story an incredible debt, and I am only grateful for it. So yes, I would let Chris take that back if he could. But man, the story has unfolded in unexpected ways.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, man. And it's been shared on the arguably the biggest platform in the world. And you said that there's possibly more to the story as well, that they could have put more in. Is it possible that there could be, I don't know, maybe a movie in the future or something else? Some
We'd be so old, wouldn't we be old by then? Another 4 or 5 years, I don't know if
still good. Got to do it, man.
There's a slight chance, and I'm speaking out of turn when I say this, but yeah, I spoke with my wife Mara. She's a filmmaker. She's a musician. She's soon to release her album with Modern English. An album with them, the band from the '80s. They're featured on her album. In fact, we were out filming one of her music videos last night at this ruins out in the woods. Um,
Nice.
it's a lot of fun, but so check that out, folks. This is my plug for that. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, I don't even know where I'm going with this now. Yes, she was a. There is a chance. She has talked about doing a director's cut for Please Talk with Me. She really has captured the essence of the story in a way that is most close to the actual experience with her movie Please Talk with Me. There's a theatrical version and there's a lecture version which has interviews in it. She interviewed Linda back in 2015. She
Hmm.
interviewed Craig back in 2020. And we have footage that she would love to include in an extended version of her film. It's possible we will do that. I can't guarantee it, but it has been talked about.
It's got to be
Well,
done.
Chris, you also said that, well, when we were filming, there was supposed to be three stories,
yes.
and then one story uh didn't have enough uh backup of research or something, and they had to cut ours down.
Yes, they wanted three unique experiences. They went through about 400, and then after 6 months had like 10, and then now down to six, and they get the final three. Unfortunately, case number three, the people involved in it became uh, got involved in an argument, and a person got very, very poisoned, and they didn't want to talk to each other, and so that kind of ruined that one. So Netflix has it up for two. Originally, ours was going to be 3 hours in length. When the other one came in at an hour and 5 minutes to balance the series, they had to cut ours from 3 hours to an hour and 40 minutes. So it was meant to be
Mm.
3 hours. They had enough on there to make it 3 hours. So we saw the abbreviated version. Who knows? They had the footage. Maybe at some point in time they will decide to,
Lengthen.
if the response from the people out there is strong enough, maybe release the full version of that. Who,
Mhm.
who can know? I don't bet against that. I don't bet. All these years have taught me, do not bet against this being
Mhm.
shared in any way possible. So in regards to tomorrow, that'd be a blessing. If Netflix does take two, that'd be a blessing. Right now, it's probably someone listening to your show, Tommy, saying, "Hey, you know what?" So yeah, I don't rule it out, and you can see by our reaction here, people who are kind to us were kind back to them, and of course we'd be involved in that best way we could.
Mhm. Awesome, man. Yeah, there's got to be more. There's got to be. I mean, it's incredible what we've seen and what there is and what there always will be. But yeah, I mean, as you say, it's more than just a paranormal story. It's friendship, it's love, and I love it, man. It's awesome. It's awesome. And it's been such an honor having you all on the podcast. Quite surreal for me to be honest. I was quite like taken back when I first see you. As I say, I've watched the whole series 4 times. I watched it today just to like refresh my memory and stuff. But it's incredible, man. And you're all awesome people. So thank you so much.
Can I say
Well,
one more
thanks for your
thing?
interest.
Of course.
Um, the first episode, you see everybody. Chris is not on there until the very, very end. The kids kept asking me, "Is Chris alive? Is he alive?" Because everybody, the way they did the interviews, everybody, they weren't sure. And then at the very end, Chris shows up and says, "My name is Chris DiCesare." But
Yes.
it's just like they really, the way they introed into it, it really made it, because they kept everybody on their toes. What actually happened?
Absolutely.
And I said to them, I said, if not everybody has seen it, I'm like, you gotta watch it, because I'm like, it will come full circle, but you have to watch it. it connects everything into it, it
Mhm.
really, really does.
It's so
S-
good.
So,
It's so good. And I've got to be honest, I'm not, I watch a fair, not really that much telly, to be honest. I don't get a lot of time to sit and watch a series.
right,
And I watched this, just off the cuff. It was like early hours of the morning. It came up, it was number one in the UK. I was like, True Haunting, let's go. And to be honest, because I'm doing a paranormal podcast, I don't often, once I finish
watch,
doing that, I don't often go and then watch a paranormal show because I've had it all day. But I
right.
saw this and I was like, I'm watching this. This looks good. And I was hooked. And I'll normally watch something for 20 minutes, stop it, come back to it. Not with this. I watched the
Right.
first one and I was like, what time is it? And it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I've got time. Watch the second one and I was like, I've got to see the end now. So I've
Yeah,
watched it
can't
all.
stop.
Yeah. And then obviously and it's very surreal for me to be sitting with you guys now, talking about it and deep diving it. It's fascinating, man. It's so interesting. But yeah, amazing stuff. So if you've not seen it, I'm sure the people listening and watching now have seen it. I'm assuming they have, but they need to go and watch it if they haven't, because it's
And
it's
watch it again.
and watch it again like I have, and I will watch it again. I might watch it when we finish after this.
There's something else that there's a coincidence that I just want to tell you about, and I don't know what the meaning is, but it's a strange, strange world out there. The second story featured in this, "My House Killed Me" or whatever it's called,
Yeah,
that takes place in Salt Lake City. Um, the guy that wrote the book for that, Douglas, I'm blanking on his name, Doug. Anyway, I work with him at Penn State University libraries.
Gosh.
I
no
knew
way.
about that case. So not only did Raw find our case, but the second case they featured, I know the guy that wrote the book for that case,
That's
and he
ins
works with me. And when Raw TV came to ask about site locations, they came to my workplace. They came to Penn State. I took them on a tour of the library, and the guy walks right past us.
Oh my gosh.
So
No.
yeah, it's I don't know what to make of that. The coincidence is just overwhelming. The fact that the two stories
Wow.
featured, it's like the connection is like Penn State.
Yeah, that is wild.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
I
I
have
don't,
another I have another coincidence when you're done with. So in the first episode, the first date that comes up is September 3rd, 1984. So yes, we that was the first day of school for our sophomore year. That is my birthday, September 3rd. The second date on the first date on the second episode is October 20th. That's my anniversary. So it just there was no third date. There was no date in the beginning of the third episode because they started off with the janitor. But I was just because that was midwinter break. But I'm just like that's another coincidence kind of thing too. So,
wow, yeah, that is. And this is the one I've got. So I interviewed a guy a few weeks before I interviewed Chris for the first time, and he's called Dr. Chad. He's got a really cool YouTube channel, and he saw that I'd interviewed Chris, and he messaged me on Instagram saying, "Oh wow, like you interviewed Chris," and he was really excited about it. And he said that his wife lived on the street of that house, in the second
oh
episode,
wow.
and she like knew the house, and I was like, wow, how amazing is that? Like, there's a connection there as well. So yeah, a lot of coincidences there. I don't believe in coincidences anymore. I think there's
I
too
guess
many.
not.
There's
Who's
too
writing the
many.
story?
Who's writing this story? I've just thought
There's
of one.
and yeah, there's another teacher at the high school that I sub at, and she was at Geneseo at the same time in a different dorm, knew nothing about it. She never heard about it. So it was anybody that was connected to Chris or Jeff, but Chris, but if they didn't have a connection to him,
Mhm.
it really didn't, touch them at all. But it definitely is a legend now while you're at, when you're at Geneseo. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I've just thought of another question. I was going to stop it, but I'm sorry. I've got another
no,
question.
sorry.
When you guys were going through this, through the 80 days, that it was like really, it was coming in thick and fast. Did you guys go home at any time through that period, or did you
I
stay in
live
the
too far
college?
away. 4.5 hours, and Chris lived further than that.
Yeah.
I don't know, Jeff, where you were.
I lived in Webster, New York, which is about
Oh, okay.
30 miles north near
Yeah.
Rochester.
Okay.
And and here's yeah, okay. This the first week, I mean, the first week was just terrible. And then so so where did Jeff go on that Friday? Chris sees the ghost on a Tuesday. Where does Jeff go? Actually, where does Jeff go on a Saturday? I went to Disney World.
Disney World. Woo!
Oh no.
So yeah, I had planned I had planned to go down. My parents were going down to Disney World. It wasn't even in spring break, but they're like, I don't even know why they went at that time, but they're like, Jeff, we're going to Disney World. You want to go? We'll pick you up on the way by. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but
Can't turn
here's the
down
thing,
Disney World.
it's like I'm taking notes. I'm staying up till 3 a.m. in the morning, writing down these terrible things that are happening to Chris. And then like on Saturday, I'm like looking
It's
up at
like,
the window. Chris is like all sad looking out. He's waving
bye.
goodbye. And I've got my duffel bag packed. I'm going to Disney World. You know? So my the negatives that I have of the ghost, the first week that I have, you have the ghost tape, you have the picture out like this, you got a bunch of other ones. The last like 5 pictures on the reel are my
Or Disney.
family posing at Disney World. It's like high in front of the castle. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
So yes,
Man.
and I felt so bad. But here's the thing. I was also incredibly relieved because I got a break from this. I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
it had only been 4 days or 3 days, and I needed a break. Seriously, I needed a vacation.
Yeah.
I feel terrible saying that now. I say that, but God, but that was the reality. I abandoned Chris, and that's the week that he and Paul went to see Father Charlie. I wasn't there for that. I would have been otherwise.
Mhm.
He,
Interesting.
he just said, make sure you don't leave the notes. Don't
Yeah.
lose the notes. Make sure I get the notes back. He can see them, but he can't have them. And he trusted us with those. And we made sure that was the case. And I felt bad for Jeff because his parents, great people. I love his parents. I wish that his parents and my parents were friends back then, but it doesn't always work that way. It's how cool his parents were. Well, I think they made him, obviously. But they were always doing things. So when things started to happen, he'd go, "Oh, my parents are here. I gotta go. Oh, my parents are. I gotta go." Like right now, I'm like, it was beautiful. His family loved him so much, but at the same time, I was like, no, at the worst, the priest said no, you can't be in the room for the blessing, right? And then he couldn't take the picture of my back, and then he had to go away for them. He's always like, I'm so close. So I never saw him as leaving behind. I just felt bad that, he was taken from the moment so often. I went home one time. There was a person I knew named Don Brown who lived in a different dorm who lived past my house. So I jump in the back of the station wagon. He'd just drop me off and keep going to his place. And I went home and I had said to my parents during dinner, just so you know, there's a ghost in my room. I'm failing my class. It's not running anymore, and things are really bad.
Oh,
Anyway, so but like they thought I was kidding. They absolutely thought I was just being absolutely silly. They ignored everything I said and like, oh, I tried. That was it. But then we had the escalation soon after that. But a couple weeks later,
right.
I had to call home and say, just so you know, Dad, this is
This is
not good. I
real.
don't know what's happening. But I did actually say it to my credit, but no one thought they're just teasing or kidding, just making a joke. It's
Yeah.
so out there they couldn't accept that as being a serious statement. So, and I want to
Yeah.
push it. They seemed comfortable, so why ruin their lives by bringing the concept down to where they
You
were.
want to poke the bubble.
Yeah, and then and also Paul, my understanding is after he left the college, he went to a Boy Scout camp for a day or two. He camped out to make sure he didn't bring the ghost to his parents' home. So at no point in time were we joking about this. We all worried for people's safety around us.
Hmm.
Hmm.
It was one of those things. So it's hard to.
When when you was at home,
Yeah.
did the paranormal activity stop for that
I don't,
period?
I wasn't, it stayed up there for the most part. I saw it at the library sometimes after the bus thing. I saw it at the showers in the gymnasium. I saw it downstairs in the lobby, but it didn't follow me home 5 hours away. When I came back, it was just itchy ready to go, like even
It
more
was right
intense.
there.
Like
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, where were you? What's? Yeah. In fact, after I came back, that's when, for the first time, it appeared the daylight, and I remember saying, "This is not your time. The nighttime is yours. Daytime is my time." I didn't care. I remember it put its fingers on my neck, and I fell on the ground like a shrimp, like shrimp like this. curled up like a fetus, I guess. And I remember looking at the poster on my wall. It's a movie called 2010. I thought to myself, hope I'm alive then. I might be alive tomorrow at this rate. You know how ironic that would happen. And then of course 2010 is when the Police Taco was made. So it's kind of cool how that again ties into those strange
Ties
moments.
in those.
Isn't that amazing? We could, as you can tell, Tom, we could talk for 10 hours straight about this,
Yeah, I know.
right? There's just
I'm
so much
loving
to
it.
share. I can tell you this though, there is, to my knowledge, and Jeff and Linda probably looked around too, there's nothing like this. Not saying good or bad, but there's nothing like this experience that on the planet that's been recorded to this degree. So
Hmm.
we're trying to figure out what it means with everybody's help, and
Hmm.
hopefully people take good things from it. We're test subjects.
Hmm. There's so many of you had experiences, so many of you had experiences that you can't deny that, when
Remember
one.
Brian with his leg. Remember Brian and Ed with his hair going up. We had that, and Judy with it, and then Beth, and then Linda, right? Myself and Jeff and Paul, Father Charlie, and my father. I mean, you can go on and on. Craig, you went on and on and on. Kurt. I mean, you could list names, forever. And all
Hmm.
these people had that. Christine had experiences like this that drew them into some degree, or pushed them away to some degree.
Hmm. You guys gonna go back soon at any time to the whole to the college?
Well, I
It
was
was
there
only what, a month ago.
Halloween. Yeah, I was there
Oh
Halloween
yes,
night
of
too.
course.
I
Yeah.
went Halloween night. Jeff and I went to the actual building itself, to Erie Hall. I spoke to some of the kids who live there. We
Hmm.
did it under the radar, kind of like off the record kind of thing. That's because if you look on TikTok and things like that, people are at the torture tree dancing and they're talking about Erie Hall, and it's gonna be tough for some kid leaving home for the first time, having their room being talked about globally by
Hmm.
thousands of people. In fact, the a reporter from the local paper reached out to me saying, "Listen, everyone's talking about it everywhere. It's all they're talking about." In the coffee shops, at movie theaters, in the bowling alleys. And so she reached out to see what was happening with us. So I decided to go and went with Jeff to talk to some of the kids, see how they're doing, because it's a lot of unexpected pressure. But they seem to really enjoy the conversations, and I would have benefited greatly if someone came back to me and said, "Hey, you'll get through this." And so
Yeah,
hopefully, if things do happen there, they
exactly.
understand that
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
can be a support system for them.
Hmm. I want to go over there. I'd love to see
If
it.
you come to New
Well, if
York,
you come
I will
over,
take
let
you
us
there,
know.
right?
We'll
Yeah.
meet you. We'll be there.
Oh, let's do
We'll
it.
gather together, all three of us,
'Cause
right? Oh
Oh,
yeah, Craig too.
definitely.
I kind of feel a part of it now, I
So
feel like
I,
I've
I
been.
give my word. If you come to the
You
States, I will
are.
take you there.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Let's do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna come over. That would be incredible. Guys, you're such lovely people. Like, and truly, like, there's a lot of love here, and I love it. It's so cool, and I think that's why the show has done so well as well. Obviously, the paranormal side, people love that, the scary side, but as I say, there's a love side to it as well, and I think that has really drawn a lot of people to it, and that's credit to you guys. You're all awesome people. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can you tell the listeners if there's anyone watching that would like to reach you guys where they can find you all, if you want to be found?
Uh, Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington D.C. Oh, it's the wrong guy. Sorry. No, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, all those places. My name's on the screen, Chris DiCesare. You can find me there. I know that Seed Adventures, CITA Ventures, has all my events listed there when I speak in public and whatnot. We're going to be doing, I think, an online perhaps discussion in the next few months to see if people can't travel much. And I'm going to try to do what I can to share. And of course, anytime that Jeff or Linda or Craig want to hop on board and get the trip with me, I'd love to have the company. So
Definitely.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. The name is on the screen here. I don't interact all that much. I usually have to be prodded into something, but
yes.
mostly I'm excited about my wife's project. So I'm going to use look up her work, Mara Katria. It's Marakatria, and just be excited about her album coming out.
I'm excited.
Hopefully, yeah.
It's
Awesome.
really good, really good. People Turn to Gold. I love that song.
Mm.
Archetype say I listen to it all the time. I got an advanced copy pre-release kind of thing. So
Ooh.
yes, good times.
Awesome. Linda, is there anywhere if people want to
I'm
reach you?
only on Facebook. I don't do TikTok. I don't do Instagram.
Yeah.
I've had people actually camp people uh that were campers because I was a Girl Scout camp counselor for 13 years. They have reached out to me. Some people that live in Australia and Switzerland, I have no idea who you are. I'm sorry. Like, but yes. Okay.
Awesome.
This was awesome. I really
Oh,
enjoyed it.
it's been.
For my first podcast.
This
That's
was your
never
first podcast. Oh
never
wow. Oh
listened to one,
man.
never been on one. So
What an
see,
absolute honor. Oh
give me heart
wow.
hearts.
That's amazing, man. Oh, wow. Well, I appreciate you guys so much. And thank you so much, Chris. Thank you so much for setting this up, for getting us all
My pleasure.
together. Amazing. It's been absolutely amazing. Oh, I've been buzzing for this since Chris mentioned it to me, and I've been like, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing your story, for sharing the love. And I hope, yeah, I'm going to come over and I'm going to come to Erie Hall with you guys one day. And yeah, that'd be amazing.
That'd be
So
amazing.
thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
See you
All
soon,
right.
Tony.
Thank you
Take
very
care.
much. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. Make sure you watch True Haunting if you haven't already. You're mad if you haven't because it's amazing. We'll be back very soon for more freaky conversations. In the meantime, stay safe and keep it freaky. Bye for now. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Loved it.